Core TV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Welcome back to Core Digest. We hope you've been enjoying us. Yes, we're still talking about the gridlock being created by tanker drivers on the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway, the corridors between Mile 2 and the ports. Just before we went for the news, we spoke with the Commissioner for Transportation, Comrade Kayode Okpeifa, discussing what the problem had been and how it is expected that all of this can come to pass in the shortest possible time. And the synergy being created by government and all the stakeholders to see that a safe corridor is created for people to do their businesses in that area easy and quietly. Well, we did talk about the involvement of the Nigeria Railways. Some 25, no, that's not correct. In the year 2006, the Nigerian Railways were given a 25-year strategic plan period to improve what they intend to do with offsetting and offloading tonnage on our roads so that it can come back on the rails. And the federal government gave its commitment to support a 25-year strategic plan to make sure that goods from the ports, majority of the goods which are being carried by some of these tankers, particularly petroleum and products from the ports on our roads, will get back on the rail. What is hindering this is a question we ask you, as a question you will ponder about. And I know the people in government are listening and watching, and it's a question they will want to do something about, because the rail moving goods and products away from the roads will keep our roads even better and lives longer.
Of course, we have a telephone number displayed on the screen. And if you must comment on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Core TV News. And we had the commissioner talking the other time about the multifaceted problem of this road. And of course, you expect congestion when you have the port. #1 port, like she has described it, and the tank plants located in the same area. We know the number of people who want to clear containers, who want to bring things into town.
There are container farms as well.
Exactly. And you still have these farms located in the same area. You cannot expect less. And Sheyi was saying, exactly, we're saying the other time that the construction of rail that is ongoing, because we must look for solutions to all these. We have agreed that, for me, I think I still insist that we have a lack of, not lack of structure, but I don't think the structures are enough. When talking about adequate, thank you. When talking about structure, we're talking about everything. The rail, the completion of rails, the right position for these plants. We cannot possibly move the ports. But there are other things that we can move. And like the commissioner said that it has been said several times that the plants should be moved away from...
Particularly the tank farms.
Exactly, from that area. If we have the plants miles away from there, we know that, okay, the only set of vehicles that will be coming and going from there, aside from the individual vehicles, the private vehicles, we're talking about those carrying, coming from, exactly, from the ports and all of that. And of course, this road will not be like this.
Indeed. Still talking about those tank farms. Tank farms have been there from time immemorial.
Yeah.
And it was the rail that those tanks were meant to feed.
We have this one from Kolawole Shele from Lagos. The tank farm owners who were willing to repair the degraded road as palliative measure to the ongoing reconstruction are afraid of running foul of the law because there is a regulation that states they must obtain permit from the federal government before embarking on such venture.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, these are some of the things we call for. I am an advocate of you do business here, you should be able to fix.
Give back to the community.
The road, because so that it allows your business to continue as well. So
But the question here
that.
is, what does it take to get a permit? If you must work, of course, you can't just get on federal road.
We know government is like, even it took Lagos State years to be able to get permits to do Ikorodu Road, to allow for a corridor for transportation of passengers for the BRT road. We know how long it took. I mean, we know the trying to get a permit for the rail line that is ongoing now by the Lagos State government on Lagos-Badagry Expressway. All of this political and government magic, as it were. So it's a bit difficult to go into the ministry and say, well, I do business on this road. Can you give me permit so that I can bring my own Julius Berger to do the road? And it's not always easy. Getting that kind of permit, it's not easy. So I agree with Mr. Shelley there that it's not an easy thing for the tank farm owners to even want to plow back to do that road, except the only palliative way is get some bitumen, you know, just patch up the area maybe in the middle of the night or something.
I'm never a supporter of that patching up.
Well,
you come to work every day. You see that even the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, just by OPIC, when you have that turnaround.
Oh dear.
It wasn't up to 3 weeks.
Indeed.
We have some. The hole is as big as it was before.
Worse. It's even worse
why
than
would you?
Used to be.
And at the end of the day, by the time you hear the amounts
been
used
expended
to patch, because that's the word, you wonder, why did we do this in the first place?
Indeed. We're talking about those tank farms. I mean, they've been there. Now they've created even more. The whole place is now full of tank farms because we have hundreds and hundreds of trailers packed to take fuel to various parts of the country. I was still looking at this Nigerian Railway Corporation Fact and Figure Handbook, which was produced a few years ago, and to see the level of work that is being done in the railways, that railway used to do prior to why we have all this all these trailers all over.
Here is Tochukwu James from Lagos. Use pipes to channel the fuel out from Apapa area.
No.
Let there be several distribution points. The federal government should repair Kirikiri Road access so that motorists can access the Berger Bridge from Old Ojo roads to ease the Mile 2 congestion.
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic.
Very
whatever.
good.
But I tell you what, we know what our people are like.
What?
You go and channel oil from that place through whatever, and it goes underground to one pipe.
Vandalization.
Exactly. What is happening in Arepo? What is happening in all of these places where people are breaking pipes?
But are we not saying because people break the law and they vandalize, we should not do what is right? If that is the perfect way of doing it, because really I was going to say, if we move these these farms away from there, how easy? Because there must be a reason for the location of these farms in the first place. It's because it is closer to the port. Exactly. And they get easy access to the... Okay, imagine if they move away to somewhere farther than that. How easy will it be? We still have these trucks going to bring whatever produce they want from the port.
Okay, let's look at it this way. Those tank farms were there because we are importing.
Exactly.
Fuel. The importation that comes through the ports, it gets collected by a barge, and this barge comes to deposit in these tank farms. And that is why we have all of these
lined up
to get their own share and go back to their communities. But when we stop importing, or if importation reduces, we will have no need for this. If the Kaduna refinery were working even at 70%, we wouldn't need tanker drivers coming all the way from Kano and Maiduguri and Katsina and Sokoto to come into Lagos and travel 2 days back, which a rail track will carry the same petroleum product from the same ports on one. What is supposed to go with 60 trailers, what will take 60 trailers to Kaduna and Kano and Maiduguri, one rail engine, just one, will do the same in the same 2 days.
And talking about refineries, you remember when the federal government was talking about licenses, given a number of years.
A number of people have been given licenses.
Exactly, and given a number of years.
It's not done.
Well, we've not gotten to the end of the year, which was given. And this is the statement, the stand of the federal government. After this number of years, you have refused to do what you said you would do. The license will be withdrawn from you and given to another who can. But the question is, we're talking, because if we must stop importing, we're not talking about 1 year, we're not talking about months here, Sheyi. We're talking about that would be a long-term solution. How ready the government of Nigeria is to put a stop to the importation of fuel is another question.
It can happen.
I'm not saying it will not happen, but what is the immediate solution to this?
The immediate solution is that it shouldn't even be a threat. Because we had recently, less than 6 months ago or thereabouts, there is an Orient refinery on the borders between Benue and Anambra State. That is one that's functional. Somebody got that license. And there are several other licenses. We do not say because the time scale ends at 2020, whatever. We're going to wait until 2020 before we could start constructing refineries. People got licenses for that. And if it's not happening, let there be a big stick. Let the governing body take that action to make sure that this thing is happening. But because the government is surmounted with all kinds of challenges, particularly the security challenges now, it looks like every other area is taking a back seat or a, wait until we come back to you and that kind of. So the situation whereby we are talking about how to solve the immediacy of the nation's #1 port, how it is being gridlocked. There was a time we had port congestion. These are some of the reasons, and that is recurring again, because this thing has been going on for 1 month. And when there's congestion in the ports, there is a resultant effect on every goods that comes out into the market, because things happen. Nobody can go through.
Let's not even begin to talk about the number of months that these goods spend at the ports before you bring them out. I think sometimes last year there was this complaint of even goods expiring at the port before they get out of the port. So that is another topic for another day.
But these are the resultant effects of this kind of thing.
Like Tuchuku said, the fact that we have a problem does not mean we cannot find solution. The fact that we have vandals, and of course at Arepo we have vandalism every now and then, and we have the government's forces there to curb this vandalism.
Look, yes? We're talking about ports now. Can you imagine putting pipes across? We want to take it across to where can I think of on the road that won't cause too much problem? We want to take it to Okota, for instance. We're taking pipes from that area to Okota. Look at the houses around the area, and you go and bake a pipe. You know the number of lives that will be involved? And people, you see, it's poverty. When I was growing up, people talk about poverty like, look, it's relative. I know I can come out of it. Not poor, I know Chris. Because I know I'm going to get out of this poverty syndrome. There is something... I'm not stupid, so this can be done. But it has gotten to a stage where Poor means even worse. So
we have Chris Donald from Lagos. Julius Berger should create at least one more intersection near Berger Bridge, so that if commuters are coming from Mile 2 Bridge, they would not need to use service lane since tankers have taken it over.
Do we? Well, I've looked at the alternative too, because I was thinking about it on Saturday while I was trying to escape. You know, went through Kirikiri, came out on that same Badger Bridge, and was trying to, okay, how do I get onto the expressway? The expressway is jammed. The trailers are everywhere. So it's not a case of, no, this is a... One of the gentlemen, when the governor was being spoken with, said, during weekday, even an Okada cannot pass through.
Pass through, not to talk of a car.
Not to talk of a car. So how do you go through? The best way out of that conundrum now is just to go across the bridge, get onto the other side of the road. You don't go towards Lagos or the ports. You come back towards Mile 2 and head out towards
that brings me into the issue of mass transit. These buses. Why can't everybody park their vehicles at home? Because even if we're not talking about this Oshodi, Apapa, let's deviate a little. We have congestions on other parts of Lagos because of the population, the number of people that have their individual vehicles.
Businesses here.
And do you understand? If we have public means of transportation, how many years back we had BRT buses?
Yes, looking clean and well tidy.
Clean. Who wants to enter into a BRT bus now? Because they are not all clean. I entered one, and for hours, I was standing. I was hanging, Shay.
Well,
and
I don't have a problem with that. I don't. No. I do.
No.
I don't have a problem with that, because that is what mass transportation is about. You are not expected to be seated at all times. And
but how comfortable? I'm talking about why people would not want to use it.
Unfortunately, it is getting better, because we know the Lagos State government, with a new transport agenda, is beginning to create a new field of transportation system in Lagos that will make people keep their vehicles at home.
Shay, it is not about creating, it is not about, I know it is ongoing. Do we maintain the, okay, it is not about bringing something new to the society. It is about what we've seen in times past, how well
do we maintain what we've got?
Must we buy new buses when we could not even maintain the old ones we have? Those buses are how old?
Unfortunately, this is what private-public partnership is all about. Because you mentioned BRT buses.
We have Emeka Chidi from Lagos.
From Lagos. All right.
Please let the task force tackle the menace of armed robbery on Apapa Oshodi Expressway, especially around the Mile 2 area. There are too many armed robbers operating in that area. They have been attacking motorists on that corridor with reckless abandon.
Indeed.
And that was what you spoke about earlier during the program.
Because I was a victim. And I saw other people as well, as much as 4 or 5 vehicles within the corridor where I was, as far as I could see, were robbed, including mine. And it was so... The levity, the ease,
you know, like
the ease
we
that
have
we
all
did do
the
it.
time.
There's no way. I don't know what the task force looks like. I don't know what they ride on. I don't know whether it is a motorbike or fly bike or whichever.
There was no way they could get
there.
But what if they were stationed there? Couldn't that have been caught?
These people know how they operate, and they're there. This is what I'm saying. This is broad daylight at 12 midday. And this is what people going to work in that area, people who live on that corridor, coming from the Badagry end, Satellite, Festac Town, they have to go through this road. This is what they've been suffering for over a month. And particularly now that it is raining, who cares? Who really cares? Who is going to be on the road? Task force member in the rain, while these people come out robbing others? So when they were telling me about, oh, this is what we go through every day.
Did you just say in the rain who will stay? But when we take up oaths, service to the fatherland, do we say just in rain, just in sunshine? Even as coppers, it used to be in sunshine and in rain. So I think that should be no excuse. But getting back to the sport, we're talking about the solutions now, and several people have been talking about several solutions. At least the last contributor talked about stationing task force
At least to help
stop the robbery. And in that report that we saw earlier, Governor Fashola was addressing the issue of street trading, and people should not shop because an armed robber can easily disguise or pretend to be exactly.
Somebody who brings yes, let's take another one. Tope Fasua from Lagos. I was a victim of armed robbery on the road last week. Armed robbers broke my windshield with their gun, pointed it at me, and dispossessed me of all of my belongings. It's a daily occurrence now, but most of the victims refuse to go and report to the police. Who do I go to report to? Except to report to Nigerians as I did. The point is that is somebody who was a victim.
Probably the same day you were robbed.
And there are hundreds of people as well who have been victims. You won't find a police in that corridor because how are they going to operate? Except you put as much as the kind of thing we saw in Ekiti. Put it on that corridor to say...
It's not a worse situation.
Literally. So, but you see, this is it. This is where Nigerians think, I am not protected anyway, so I have to create my own kind of security or situation of such. So the immediacy of what should be done, if we can create that rail bitumen tank train again, we can create the petroleum tank train again, put back on the tracks, move 60 in one day. Tomorrow, there's another engine that is going to move another 60. And by next week, in 1 week, 60 moving from here to Kano to Enugu to various places where they have all those train improvement tracks ongoing. Now I've been told I can travel 1.5 days to Kano from Lagos. So why would I not take petroleum products from there?
Another issue that readily comes to mind is when we have construction of roads, the provision for alternative roads, we lack that in Nigeria. Not even talking about this Oshodi Papa alone. We've seen so many situations
where there are no alternatives.
And you have people stay there, people who are going to work. And that tells a lot on the productivity of Nigerians. When half of the day you are in traffic gridlock and you get to work, you're tired already. I would naturally expect that even before, and I think that boils down to lack of planning. If you must start construction on this road in the next 6 months, people should know, educate the people, you start creating an alternative. But we lack that in Nigeria. It looks like...
Unfortunately, you see, the peculiarity of our country, the peculiarity of our governments is what comes out to play here. 2012 edition of Marconi University Medical School has on his brochure, the front page of his brochure, Lagos traffic with respect to public health. If you can survive Lagos traffic in Nigeria, then you must have a heart of beyond gold, a heart as strong as steel. Marconi University chose to put on their brochure 2012 for public health, Lagos traffic. This sort of thing was there, and it created a fear at first, but it tells you that this is what Nigerians go through every day. This can happen in most places in the world. So the government is confronted with a mammoth responsibility of solving issues like
somehow,
this.
If you pile your responsibility, if you pile your responsibility up, it becomes mammoth, like you call it. But if we've tackled and taken up responsibility, the government and individuals over the years, we won't be confronted with such a problem that it begins to look like we don't even have an immediate solution.
This is a situation that's been abandoned to the government of Lagos State. What don't you think? We've been told by the commissioner. We're trying to see if we can get the honorable commissioner back on again. We were told by the commissioner that even the governor had visited 6 times.
We have Unachuku Dennis from Lagos. This is the only port in the world that is difficult to access. Successive governments in the past have made light of this situation, ignoring the traffic gridlock to continue with loss of man-hours and revenue that would have been used to develop the country. I think exactly what I was just saying, that it is not a problem that started this month. We're talking about neglecting responsibility. Now we're saying productivity here, revenue here. I think it's lack of foresight. The fact that we feel we can do this tomorrow, we can do this till later, it tells on every aspect, every sector of the country. The manpower, the hour you use at work is reduced because you are held up in traffic. Your productivity at work is zero. But come to think of it, if this had been tackled, say, 10, 20 years back, are we going to have this kind of problem that begins to look like we don't even have the immediate solution, and it's going to lack, it is going to last for months before we can do anything at all? Indeed.
Well, this is why, as I referred to the Honorable Commissioner earlier on, that it's a mammoth problem which is not a Lagos State problem. But because it's within their own domain, they still have to do something about it. They've created a trailer park. Do these people use it? You can't force them.
You can.
No. Let us face it.
You can.
Let me put it this way. That is why you think the government does not know what it's doing. It can't ask last man to go and... Yes, it happens once in a while.
We have even had some Lagosians complaining about the LASTMA officials.
Let me read what the Tell magazine wrote. Let me read what the Tell magazine wrote with respect to these people. Do these officials do their work
as they ought to?
I believe they do. The Tell magazine says this over 2 years ago. Wherever they sneeze, the nation catches cold. Wherever they yawn, even the people in government develop goose pimple, and they roar like lion and the entire country cringes. These people have pecuniary motive. They just believe anything. If you force them, they say they're going on strike. This tanker driver says, okay, we're not going to go away. What do?
These people are from among us. They are not aliens. They are not aliens. We made this happen. If structures had been put in place from the very first start, a child doesn't just grow into an adult overnight.
That's why the railways, the railway freight services should come back into being. And
even if we have railway, if we do not maintain it properly, if the officials and working there do not do what they're supposed to do,
when I look at people,
we have another contribution from Lagos, John Unduoyi. I'm sorry if I murdered that. We have kudos to President Jonathan for reconstructing the road. Fashola should appreciate federal government and stop blaming federal government as if they're not collecting taxes on that road. They should also do their part by reducing the traffic gridlock on the road.
How do you do that?
Thank you so much, John. Well, how to do that, I think it boils down to the fact that individuals, because even if government should empower you, give you a job to do something as an law enforcement agent, then you should do it.
I agree with you entirely.
Exactly.
I agree with you entirely. And every now and again, you know, some of us move around.
The governor can be everywhere. The president can be everywhere.
The man has been there 6 times. We've just been told by the commissioner. The commissioner has visited that place more than 30 times. I said it before he came on air to say so, that every now and again, he's always on that route. He's always on that route to make sure that, please, just keep traffic moving. Whichever way you're going to do it, just create a little corridor. Let people just go through so that they can do their business. Guess what? Do you think it's everybody that is coming out of Lagos ports, Tinkan Island ports, and all those other ports that are there and jetties that are filled up in those places are dropping all their goods in Lagos? They're all going far and wide. Nobody is going as far back as Calabar ports or the foresaid Onitsha port that's been waiting for how long else. Somebody told me the other day, create a port in Onitsha and see whether we will use Lagos ports. I wish it happens. But every day and every day, the Federal Executive Council meets and issues out contracts every Wednesday. Wait till tomorrow, you will hear another one. construction of this road, construction of that road. The gentleman that says federal government is constructing road, we know perfectly. We're not saying no to that. But these are areas that government magic can only work. Nothing but government magic.
We have Jumoke Koka from Lagos. No serious investor will take us serious if we don't create easy access to Tinkan Island and Apapa Port. Roads are critical infrastructure we need to jumpstart the economy, and I pray that we understand this.
Indeed.
Exactly.
Indeed. The only way to jumpstart this, particularly with the ports area, we know the enormous responsibility of the government. We know the enormous challenges they are going through. We appreciate it because we're all Nigerians and we're all looking for the benefit of how this thing can work. I have been opportune. Andrewed at one time. I've been away for this for a long time. I've seen what happens in other places. I've gone to collect cargoes from places. But in reality, pray you don't want to go into Apapa Port or Tinkan Island Port, because what you will be confronted with, you start wondering, am I still in a nation?
Okay, we're talking about solutions now. We sincerely pray that we can have these solutions as soon as possible. So many suggestions are being put to the government of the day, whether you are going to pass
I believe in the rail.
Pipes from the ports to where these tank farms will be moved to, or the rail, like Sheyi Martins is talking about, or the alternative roads. Because if we're having construction, people don't have to stay here forever. And of course, the issue of security.
I will not be an advocate of any pipe because we haven't constructed gas pipe and people are damaging it. We've not put any gas in there. Then you go and put petroleum. Oh, petrol, somebody will come at night.
It boils down to the mentality of individuals in Nigeria.
And it's not poverty. I dare to say, it is not poverty. It is just the, let me not use any colorful language here, but the reality is the rail can take 60 with one engine, 60 trailers off the road with one engine.
What happened to our railway in Nigeria?
It is ongoing.
What happened before
What
now?
What happened?
Yes.
Well, I'm reading this book, which is Facts and Figures from the Nigerian Railway. This was published in 2006. And I'm sure there will be an update of this right now. From everything I can see here.
The point I'm trying to make, Sheyi, is there used to be a perfect rail operation in this country.
I used to enjoy it as a child.
Good.
I lived around the railway line. I lived in Ikeja and in Apapa and all these areas.
It ended up the way it did because,
as a barrack boy.
Because we did not do what we're supposed to do. So even if we have a new one, like you said, is being constructed, is under construction.
It's ongoing.
It is still the mentality and our attitude towards this infrastructure that would maintain them.
For instance,
if we did not have the right mind, the right attitude, I think it might just still end up the way the old ones did.
For instance, they tell us that Lagos-Ibadan rail track, okay, let's take this one also from Ronke Abiodun in Lagos. The access has remained a nightmare to residents, motorists, commuters, and port users, as traffic sometimes keeps people on the road for more than 12 hours. The situation has also forced some businesses within Apapa to relocate.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ronke Abiodun. And we were saying something about the rail.
The Lagos-Ibadan rail, for instance, quickly, let me just put this. The Lagos-Ibadan rail was constructed in 1898, between 1898 and 1891. 1901. That was when it was done. And it was 193 kilometers. Ibadan-Jeba, all these rail, to date, tracks have been put up from the time of Obasanjo regime, when some Chinese were asked to come and do our rail for us. They poured ballast and they disappeared. And we didn't hear much of it. Now it's going on dear. Hopefully, the vice president came in, was it this month? Last month, end of last month, to launch a passenger train, a train that looks like a palatial, that looks like a hotel lounge, you know. And I'm looking forward to taking that as well.
And after that, what happened? Individuals at the rail station hacked the transport fare.
Like everything else.
Mentality. attitude,
Attitude
of Nigerians. That is what we're saying.
Let the attitudes of government now take the main stage.
Because if you leave people to do as they wish, you see, people without law, people who are left to do what they like, you find everything degenerates to what we have now. But we're saying that even when we find the right solution to these things, it should be maintained. The officials that will be put in charge of this should not go to sleep just because at some point it is working and you feel, okay, because we've worked for a week, we can go rest for another and hope that everything will go on well. It is not like that with humans.
Indeed not.
We have
Indeed
one
not.
from Tunde Fashola of Lagos State. We have everybody is talking about degradation. They should come here and see degradation from the activities of the federal government and its agencies and the oil companies. They're destroying our land in the name of exploration and transportation of petroleum products.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This I agree absolutely with. The point is, what is going on in there? You don't want to see. I lived in the Axis. I know what it is like. Until these tankers came in, I don't used to see big tankers on the road. I've never known it. I didn't grow up to see tankers on the road. The railway crosses that area, goes through Apapa Road into the railway terminus area and moves on. Mushin, Oloja, Agege, Ota, all of those areas, before you know it, it's gone to whatever. But now, what the tank farms are doing, the disaster that is waiting to happen, we pray it doesn't. By the grace of God, it will not happen. By the grace of Allah, it will not happen. What we are saying is, if anything happens in any of those tank farm areas, you can imagine what the nation will have to do, will stand to lose. So nobody will come there. The security issues are there. The federal government should not overlook that. Petroleum products are not easy products to deal with. And this is what we are talking about. So the immediacy of clearing that road is of essence, not only to the state government, not only to the people of Lagos, but to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
It's been a wonderful time on Core Digest this morning, and we've been talking about the Oshodi-Apapa Road, and we had the governor visit last week, and a representative of the unions there said that the governor should give a week for
which
this
is
to be
next
solved.
Sunday. We will be there.
Next Sunday. So we want to see what will happen on this road. And we are looking forward to an immediate solution and, of course, long-term solution, because even if we put palliative measures on ground now, we're talking about permanent solutions. The commissioner called and was talking about the possible movement of these tank farms. Are we going to be able to achieve this? Another solution is the rail. We hope that all of these come to fulfillment, as we hope. And the attitude of Nigerians is another thing we must talk about. We Nigerians should change our attitude towards things. We should learn to maintain law and order and not behave above the law at all times. Core Digest continues tomorrow, being Wednesday. Thank you so much for all those who contributed on the program today. Tomorrow is another day. Thank you very much.
Nigerians continue to travel
the city of Lagos
There is still a poor level of
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west and around Africa, we break the news.
We are one Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News,
Welcome to Core
a
TV.
24-hour news station.